one to make things work for you. Okay, so I'm just heating up everything to kind of get her flat. See, that's got to be flat, which is still pretty good. We're going to put, got to have your insulators anyway, so that's a good sign. Okay, just want to make sure that everything is flat when we put that together. Okay, and still not flat, is it? Oh, what a pain in the butt, isn't it? It's always a pain in the butt when you do this stuff, because everything's got to be somewhat flat. So I'm going to straighten this up. I'm going to push this down just a little bit, that down just a little bit. I know you can't see it because I'm off camera, and I did that on purpose. Trying to get this stuff lined up flat, we've got to make sure it's flat, because it has to line up against the heat sink. And that looks good. I think we got it once you get that flat. And we got an insulator to put in there anyway. So, alright, so anyway, like I said, on that one there, I just bend the pin over to make sure she's where she needs to be. And that's all I do. There's other ways of doing it. Some people will tell you to run the trace over to adhere to make sure it's there, or over to the nearest trace. But honestly, it'll I cleaned it up and pushed it over, so it's got good contact. So everything looks pretty decent there. And we'll just go back in here and just make sure that we float it properly. And we'll come back over to this transistor here. This is the driver transistor, which drives the other. Some people tell me that it's to keep the constant voltage to that one without, you know, any voltage drops from draw. Some people tell you it's, well, there's so many things, it's not even funny. So I really don't know. So now we've got that. So now what we've got to do is, we know these, we'll pull these up just a little bit. We know these have to go back in there. So what we're going to do now, we're going to heat sink. And what I use is heat sink compound. And let's see if I can get it out. There we go. Just the old heat sink stuff. Matter of fact, the stuff I've got almost all get out. So what I do is here, I put a little heat sink compound on both sides. So we're going to put a little heat sink compound over here. Just kind of give it a little flow. Over in here. Okay. And now what I do is with this is I'll go ahead and I'll lay this over on a heat sink compound. And I've got a big one I had to cut because the one on here was so old that I could not get the it was just so old, it was all rubber, and it was stuck to the bottom of the stuck to the metal, so I had to scrape it off, which is not normally good for as I'm concerned. So I replaced them. I figured I'd replace both of them, so we'll just lay a little daub in here. There we go, a little daub in here. Then when I put it on, I'll put some heat sink compound on the back of this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to you got to lift these up so they don't hit anything, so they don't take your, you don't want that to come off. So you're going to lay your thing down then. Used to be in the old days you had a crown and stuff, but this time they're using the using screws. So we're going to run the screw. Go ahead and get that down through there if we can. They use a plastic screw, or nylon screw I guess is what they call them. Alright, and we'll go ahead and wipe some of the junk off here. Then we'll run our other nylon screw, which should be bigger. That's the bad thing about heat sink compound, is that it gets all over the place. Alright, and so we'll lay that down in. Alright, come on, get down through there. Sometimes it takes a fight to get them down, everything lined up. There we go. Alright, and we'll take the heat sink compound off there. And alright, there's our screws. Let me straighten up this one pad here. I don't like this pad here being at an angle, so let's straighten that pad up. There we go. That's perfect, beautiful. So here we'll straighten up a little bit too. So now we'll just put our caps back on, or no, actually, wrong one. And then what we'll do is we'll power it up again and make sure that we have a good connection. Make sure we're not getting any anything grounding And what we can do, we can actually check that with a voltmeter first, which we will probably end up doing. Alright, there's that. So let's I'm going to use my screwdriver here, and let's go ahead and let's just screw that down till that sits somewhat flat. There we go. Okay. And we'll tighten this one down so it's somewhat tight. Come on. Okay, it doesn't want to, wants to fight me a little bit on that. Yeah. A lot of times they, like this is using nylon screws to go all the way across it. A lot of times they use a nylon insert to go around this, and then the screw's metal. You can use both ways. Alright, so first thing I got to do here is I got to tighten this up. And I think I have the nut driver for that. Now let's go ahead and see if we can do that without the screw turning. Looks like it's turning without the screw. And ready? Alright, you don't want to over tighten because nylon does not like to be over tightened. Alright, so there we are. So now what we're going to do again, I know this is going to be a long video, but unfortunately when you do power supplies, people can say what they want to say, but sometimes it just takes a while. So now what we're going to do here, well, I'll tell you what, we can do a test here. I know this is kind of, and you can do a continuity test. You don't really have to do a, you know, just enough to hear the beeper. Make sure that the, basically what we're going to do is make sure nothing is touching ground, or nothing's grounding out of net plate. Just so. Here we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn this on to continuity. And let's, no, not die. There we go. Now let's see what we got. We shouldn't have anything grounding. None of this stuff should be grounding this cap. So I've just got audible here. That's audible. So here we are. We're here. We're touching that pin. Nothing. Touching that pin. Nothing. That pin. Nothing. Same with here. Should be able to touch that without any ground. So if you touch that, it's ground. Okay, so that's good. So that's not touching nothing. That's not touching ground. That's not touching ground. That's not touching ground. That's a good sign. Because if they were, then we would probably have a problem. So apparently, so luckily we don't have a problem. Not apparently. Well, I guess apparently we don't have a problem. So that's good. That's one easy way of testing that. So now what we can do is we can go ahead, and I'm thinking about replacing these wires, because sometimes you start jocking these wires where they've tinned them and they like to break. But we'll see what goes on. So let's go ahead and put our negative in. Let's see here now. This plate. Sure, I didn't sit that way. I had to sit this way, I do believe. Right. Huh. Well, what do you know? No, you would think that had to be on the heatsink, so that's where it had to be. It's probably bent over. Yeah, it had to have been that way. Alright, just wanted to make sure, because I'm thinking, that they've got resistors next to a, right next to a power source, but this is how it came out, because they have to know the choice to be that way. So now, according to this here goes into the power, where my power was. There it is. Now it's odd that that's really tight, but that's how they did it. So who am I to argue that fact? Technically I would probably cut those and put longer leads on. But since this is a repair, and a lot of people like to keep your stuff original, so this is what we're doing. So what I'll do is I'll put my thing through the hole, and I'll heat up my solder here. Okay, there it is. Alright. Okay. And we'll run the other power cable here to the positive. It's over here. Come on. Well, this is where I need my things. I just don't have them. And that's my fault. It's nobody's fault. Because now you're trying to solder stuff and try to move things around, and you need the holders. You can buy them. There's all types of flavors. I have a flexible. Now we'll just touch up the solder joint here. Okay. Just a little bit of solder, just to touch her up. Oh, that's the That's alright, ain't the one I want. Too busy talking, not paying attention. Alright, let's make sure. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this resistor in just a little bit on both sides just to get it away from that breaker, which I thought was kind of odd where they put that. I got too much solder flux on it. Too much solder building up on that. Alright, let's see here if I can heat this up here. There we go. I want to pull that up just a little bit, trying to get that out of that. It's just a load resistor. Alright. So we've put the power source back in, and we can go ahead and test it. Okay. And let's go ahead and let's come over here to voltage. And let's see if I can get everything on camera here. And we're not going to hold on, we're just going to touch it and see what we got here. Voltage DC and positive and negative. Come on. Well, that's not a good sign. Oh, heck, okay. Turn the right one on. Nope, wrong way. There we go. 13.68 volts. Cool. Alright. So we still got voltage, so we'll go ahead and turn that off. Alright. Now, fortunately, this went like this, which I thought was just so weird the way they did that. But that's how they did it. So now we need to put the LED back in. So the LED needs to go back in. So it looks like, well, that's funny. They didn't mark positive and negative on that one. So let's see here. That's coming off that, so that must be, oh, that's interesting. Now, here's something I just now seen. We got a cold solder joint right there. And cold solder joint means it's something that either didn't solder properly, didn't have enough heat to it, or vice versa. So we're going to heat that up a bit. We're going to heat it and reflow around it. See if there's an issue. It just didn't have their solder hot enough, or because this probably went through a solder bath. So, alright, so thing is, I don't know which way the LED was in here. So, I'm assuming that this is coming off here, so I'm assuming this is positive, so apparently it's coming off. So basically you can track it back to, here's the positive lead going out, and here's the positive lead right, where are we at here? Here's resistor, here's positive lead. So it looks like this here is the positive and that's negative. And they're probably using a resistor off, off negative. You're using a resistor to drop the current down for the LED. You have to do that or you'll burn that LED up, because LEDs are rated at a low voltage. And that's why I always tell everybody, talk about LED lights, you know, oh, they'll last years and years and years. Well, the LED will last years and years and years, but the circuit driving it may not, because the circuit driving is trying to run high current and everything else, and you know what I mean? So, yes and no. Okay, LEDs themselves last pretty good, as long as you don't overdrive them or overcurrent them. Well, unfortunately, alright, ducky, give me this. Well, I'm about the black wire here doesn't seem to want to go in. I have too much crap there. There we go. There we go. Normally, I should really clean them. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring this up. Alright, stay there. Stay. Alright, you ain't gonna stay. That's what I said. I need my holder. And I should really get that holder out instead of fighting stuff. But, you know, this is about as barnyard as you get, ladies and gentlemen. Now what we're going to do is now, we're going to check to see if the LED comes on. So ready? Here we go. Now the LED is not coming on. So that tells me that's in the wrong direction, which I could have swore I checked that. Coming off. Here's your power, that's plus. Coming off, and this is coming off for ground, the resistor is. But we're not getting any, oh, okay, hold on for a minute, make sure we're not touching there. We're not getting anything, that's odd. Let's check my voltage here. Alright, no LED, so I must have it backwards, which is very unusual because I'm reading the way this schematic is drawn. If you look at the red wire, here's your red wire coming out, here's your positive right here. Make sure I'm doing the right way. Okay, here's your, this is your red wire right next to it. Here's your red wire coming come to this lead here, which should be the red lead, and that should be the minus lead because it's coming off the resistor from the ground. So either I've damaged it, so let's pull a LED out. Let's just pull a junk one. I've got a junk one in here. Don't have to be anything spectacular. I've got new ones too, but let's pull a junk one out of here. Here, these will handle the load. Let's see if the LED got shorted out from the power. So here we go. Okay, we're going to turn that back on. Alright, let's find out. Okay, let's turn that back on. Alright, so we'll just, it doesn't make no difference as long as you're there gently. So that is correct. So I assumed the LED got burnt out when the diode hit. It probably burnt the thing out. But what we can do is we will pull them out. Alright, we'll pull it out. I know we got. So let's go ahead and we'll just want to pull the leads out. Alright, and what I'll do is I'll do a little test. It's something I've always done, unless maybe they wired it up the wrong colors, and that's possible. So let's go ahead and turn it back on. Alright, so they're saying to me that these two here don't work. So alright, so let's flip them around. Alright, let's find out. Okay, so that's odd, isn't it? But the only I can think of is they've fused it wrong, because there's the LED does work, so it is opposite. Huh. Little things like that, just kind of weird in it. But now normally I always resisted mine off the positive, and we can go back through because this is all negative. Because here's your negative lead. That's very weird. So maybe I read it wrong, but I don't think I did. That's weird. That one. And, you know, who knows? I could be reading it wrong too. I've read stuff wrong before. But always. There we go. There we go. So that's another quick test, having some LEDs floating around just to make sure. So let's power this back up again. Bring this back up. Let's see what it does. There we go. Oop, wrong one. And I can't show you, but the LED is lit. I'll pop it up and I'll show you. So anyway, so that's it for right now, and I think I'll have to do another video on assembly. So thanks for watching.